After posting my video covering the events of Loki Season 2 Episode 4, I was flooded with comments like this. Since everything went haywire, can they use the time stones now? Perhaps Infinity Stones can work now. Does anyone remember if the dampeners are off, will the Infinity Stones at the TVA be usable? If Loki and Sylvie can use their powers, couldn't they also use the mini Infinity Stones? And maybe Loki should watch some ancient Greek naked olive oil wrestling? Wait. No, not that one. But yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of questions around these stones and their ability to be used with the safety system currently offline. So I'm going to address exactly that in this video and try to answer some of these questions you all have been asking. So I've spent several hours researching this, and one of the first things I want to dig into is actually something I found over in the What If series. And this is interesting because it's believed that Infinity Stones are powerless outside of their native universe. This has been covered in the comics and was made evident in the first episode of Season 1 of Loki, where Casey shows Loki a drawer full of stones and says they're used as paperweights. Now, in the episode What If Ultron 1, we do see Ultron seemingly spanning universes with his stones, and they do in fact retain their powers. And this has led to a lot of discussions on the internet about this apparent plot hole surrounding the stones. Ultimately, my searches led me to this article where a writer from the What If series explains what happened and how there actually is no plot hole, and the answer here definitely leads to some interesting questions around what's currently happening with Loki. The article says, even if Ultron were using the stones to manipulate other universes, it turns out that would be allowed because he's breaking the barriers between all these universes and creating a connection between them all. Now, honestly, it's nuances like this that I find conveniently annoying, but it is what it is. So with that information, let's jump back to Loki. But real quick, I do want to say this channel's growing really fast, and if you want to be a part of the first 10,000 subscribers, now's your chance. So click that subscribe button and let's get back to it. First, let's take another look at Loki coming across the stones in episode 1 of season 1, and I want you to take special note of the very last thing Casey says.
Oh. Is that?
What? Infinity Stones? How do you have these?
Oh, we actually got a lot of those. Yeah, some of the guys use them as paperweights. Some of them.
Some of the guys use them as paperweights. Some of them. As with everything Marvel, there is always intentionality behind every spoken word, and I don't think it's any different here. The thing that we have to understand, though, is what did Casey mean by some of them? Is he meaning that only some of the guys use them as paperweights? Or is he meaning that only some of the stones are used as paperweights? And if it's the latter, why are some of them not used? Okay, let's fast forward to where we are today with the explosion of the loom and everything we know up to this point. As has been pointed out in many videos on YouTube, Loki says in the trailer, "Let's try this again."
Again.
It's pretty evident that we're about to see a lot of time travel happening in the next episode or two as the crew works to go back and prevent the events that occurred at the end of episode 4. But how exactly will Loki time travel? It's true that with the safety system down, he has the ability to use his powers and magic, but time travel is not one of Loki's powers. The trailer leads us to believe he's about to be time slipping again, but he and Mobius worked in episode 1 to fix the time slipping problem, so he's not currently able to time slip. There has to be some way Loki can go back to before the events of episode 1 so that he can time slip again, and this precisely could be where the stones come into play. If we look at what the writer of What If said about universes being connected and that leading to the use of stones across universes, then it's possible the same thing just happened in Loki with the explosion of the loom, activating the stones present in the TVA. This could allow Loki to use a time stone to go back in time and prevent the destruction of the loom. It's also possible Casey may shine some light on what he meant all the way back at the beginning of the series with his "some of them" statement, and point Loki to a set of stones that do in fact work in the TVA when something like a cataclysmic event occurs with the loom. Ultimately, if I had to say one way or another, if I think the stones will come back into play in this show, I think my answer would be yes. In my brain, it's the best way to make sense of how they will possibly fix everything that has happened, but knowing the MCU, I'm sure I'll be surprised. So what do you think? Will the Infinity Stones make a return in Loki Season 2, or am I just a crazy person? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.